LSU's record this year will be, hello, anyone fill in the blank? Well, I'm about to give you my prediction for LSU. Here's what you need to know. Courtesy of FanDuel, over-under win total, 9.5. It is juiced heavily to the under, but it is 9.5. They have the 5th best odds to win the SEC. They are plus 125 to make the playoff. So like just shy of being outright favored to have a playoff spot. This is a top 5 recruiting program the last 5 years. So the talent profile on this team definitely tracks as a playoff contender. But now we got to get specific. What do we think we know? Well, what I think I know about LSU is it's the best offensive tackle combo in college football. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, those guys will both be playing on Sunday very, very soon. And it's going to greatly impact the style of offense they can play and probably that they have to play this year. The next thing I think I know is that quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. If he has a good year, it'll be one of the best stories in college football. Garrett Nussmeier, it's crazy if you know his life story. His life story, he's just bounced around all over the place. He's lived in like 20 different places, which means if he commits somewhere and doesn't immediately start at quarterback, you'd think that'd be the kind of guy who would be a portal hopper. And instead, he stayed. He stuck around. He waited his time, loves LSU, and that's the kind of guy I root for. Now, just because I root for you doesn't mean that the world works out the way we want it to for you. But Garrett Nussmeier, I think, is ready for it. If they fail this year, it won't be because the moment was too big, in other words. So I think he's well prepared mentally for this. I think physically he's prepared for it, just a different physical skill set than what they had last year in Jaden Daniels. I also think I know they get how they have to win this year. I don't think many of you take time to listen to Brian Kelly press conferences, but you ought to listen to some of them because he's telling you what they got to do this year. His most recent one, I was watching it earlier today, it may have been from today or yesterday, and he's just flat out telegraphing, we're going to play in a ton of close games this year. He knows they cannot replace that production at receiver. Now, in the aggregate, they can be good enough there, and they can be better at tailback because they're also not going to run the ball at quarterback like they did last year when Daniels was quite literally their leading rusher. He knows they're not where they need to be top of the line defensively yet. So they've got to try and be in games with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, have one more possession than you, and have the ball bounce their way and win their big games and be plus 3 or 4 in one possession battles. That's what Brian Kelly is telling you. I don't even have to read between the lines. That's what he's saying. They get that. They've understood that since spring. They know that's what they got to do. So now we talk about what we need to know. I need to know, as does the entire country, how much this defense improves. Because they were in the 100s in most critical categories last year. Terrible. I mean, historically rancid defense at LSU. It wasted a Heisman Trophy winning season. It wasted an elite offense. Had Mike Denbrock there dialing it up, had your Heisman Trophy quarterback, and you lost 3 games because you couldn't stop molasses in December, as Meemaw would say. That was a shame. That was them. This is now. How improved are they? Are the rush yards there? That's another thing we need to know. Jaden Daniels, as I said, at quarterback, their leading rusher last year. Over 1,100 rushing yards. Logan Diggs was next with 653. Neither of them returned, neither does Noah Cain, and there is no proven production for LSU on this board here. Now, I say that, but I'm also going to tell you we've gotten really good reports out of fall camp down there that they believe this is part of their offense that they can lean on. But if you know the history of LSU leaning on the tailback position post like Leonard Fournette, with very few exceptions, it's been more miss than hit. So I'm taking a wait-and-see approach on that. I don't think they need some 1,000-yard receiver. I don't think Kyron Lacy, who's their one right now at receiver, I don't think they need him to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year. He has the ability to be. I don't think they need that. What I want to know is in the aggregate of trying to replace, I think, 2,700 some odd receiving yards with a couple of guys that are in the NFL now, in the aggregate, can they make up for it? If they don't have Kyron Lacy go off this year, can they have like 4 guys get me 500 or more receiving yards? Because if you got that, and you got a little bit better defense than is expected, and you can run the ball and win those close games, you could be a playoff team. You could be that. Still a lot of good players, a lot of good talent at LSU. This coaching staff, the defense last year. You'll look back on the Brian Kelly era, however long it ends up being, and his 2023 defensive hires will go down collectively as some of the worst decision-making that he made there. The good decision-making was he flushed it, and he went and single-handedly upgraded a side of the ball as much as any coach at any level of college football did this past cycle. So now they're very high level over there. Kevin Peoples is one of the best pass rush coaches, probably the best in the country, but also he went and got Bo Davis. He went and he got Corey Raymond back down there, Blake Baker. And by the way, speaking of Corey Raymond, just in general, injecting a lot more Louisiana flavor back into LSU was badly needed. And there are some off-the-field support staff types that have names you probably wouldn't know that are back there now. That was badly needed. And the closer you get to Louisiana, the more frequently folks will tell you that. The support staff here is probably only top 60 offensively. Joe Sloan's the offensive coordinator. Only 2 years as a play caller, so we don't grade him. We need at least 3 years under the belt. But defensive coaching staff there, support staff, very, very high level. As big a jump as any side of the ball in college football. So how good can the players be is the question. What can the coaches do with the players? Schedule this year. 5 teams in the top 20 of the college football playoff odds are on LSU's schedule. Out of conference is not easy. They open with USC. They also have UCLA at home, but they play 3 of the 4 bottom teams in the SEC. Vandy's on the schedule, Arkansas's on the schedule. And I'll tell you one other thing. Paper pop here. Okay, this is a padlock stat in terms of scheduling. We track bye edges around here. And LSU has one of the biggest hidden bye advantages against any team in a big moment this year. October 12th is the biggest Saturday of the year in college football. Ole Miss goes to Baton Rouge that Saturday. I need you to understand something. LSU's got a bye week before that. That will be Ole Miss's 7th consecutive game. Anybody here? Yeah. 6 games right before that. So huge bye advantage in favor of LSU there. What is the best case for the Tigers this year? My best case for LSU is 11-1. Model sees a loss no matter how we slice it. My worst case for LSU, bordered on 5-7, because there is a total disaster scenario here with this defense combined with losing all that offensive production and not being able to backfill it. It's the widest variance gap that we have for any major team, but I'm not going to go that wide of a gap. So my worst case is 6-6 for LSU, and even 11-1 to 6-6 is pretty wild. My prediction for them is 9-3. The JP poll has them at number 10 to start the season. My prediction is 9-3 for them, and I'm going to be honest with you, that bye advantage they have against Ole Miss was worth going from 8-4 to 9-3. I'm a little bit lower on LSU than some other folks are, but there is also this world when you look at the way their schedule starts. If they start off strong against USC and that bowling ball turns into a snowball that starts to roll downhill, I see it just the same way you guys do. I see how that can turn into all of a sudden LSU is a playoff team. I can see it. So I'm going to go 9-3. And there's a lot of variance there. A lot of variance.